welcome to Gulf News Straight Bat, the chat show all about cricket. It's the only trophy that they haven't won, but Australia continue their bid for the T20 World Cup after beating Pakistan in the semi-final tonight in what was an absolute thriller. Joining me to discuss tonight's game are Mr. Cricket UAE, Anis Sarjan, and Gulf News expert Sham. Anis, have you caught your breath back after that incredible game? What did you make of it?
Thank you, Imran. Hello, Sham. What a match. And I was fortunate to see this game at the Dubai Cricket Stadium. It was absolutely a featherbed of a wicket. And you have to give it to the curator. He made a wicket which was good for batting, bowling. And there was not a drop of dew. So there was no advantage to any team. And you have to say that Pakistan set up a fantastic total on the back of a couple of good innings. One was Mohammed Rizwan, and then when finished by Fakhar Zaman. They had Australia on the mat. But I'm afraid, as they say, sometimes the memories come to haunt you, and Pakistan couldn't hold their nerve. And in the end, that cost them the game. But Pakistan should hold their head high. They played like a champion team, but sometimes you can't win.
Pakistan started the campaign, as we know, really well with that big win over India. And then they went from strength to strength after that. They won all their 5 Super 12 matches. And for a while tonight, it looked like that they were going to win 6 out of 6. But when Hassan Ali dropped that Matthew Wade catch late on, Anis, that was the turning point of the match, wasn't it?
No, Imran, I know we are talking about that catch, but trust me, at 96 for 5 and Australia was struggling, there was a shot hit by Marcus Stoinis at deep mid-wicket. And for strange reasons, Asif Ali was standing probably 10 meters inside the rope. Had he been standing right at the boundary, the ball would have come straight into hands, and I'm right in front of his eyelid. And all the crowd, and I saw one of the players running to the Hassan Ali and giving a mouthful. I said, "What are you doing?" And trust me, that would have been game, set, and match. We're talking about today Hassan Ali. That's what happens, because when you have a bad day with the ball, people are going to actually troll him, and I'm afraid he's going to be on the wrong side. That Matthew Wade's catch would have probably made the difference, but by that time, Australia had already sneaked in, when Marcus Stoinis was set. But I have to ask me one thing. It was that bad mistake, and such small things needs to be taken care. You are an experienced team. You can't make such mistakes.
Shalom, I think the biggest confidence booster that Australia can take is David Warner's return to form in the tournament. He's now got 2 half centuries. In his last match, he got 89 in the previous game. Today, he got 49, and he was going really well. And then he was given out for edging one behind, but the replays showed that he didn't touch it. Why didn't he appeal for that? Why didn't he call for a review?
I think there must have been some noise, probably the rubber in the bat or a pad or something must have made a noise, because he didn't even flinch. He just walked away. So which means there was some noise, and he was convinced. Otherwise, definitely it was worth a review. And given the form he was in, and I think even if there was a half chance, there would have been a review. But he didn't even consult his partner. He was so convinced, he just walked away. I mean, very strange indeed. In fact, that was one of the big moments of the match.
It was a very strange moment. And Shah, I'm just staying with you there. Australia's bowling, as we know, has been really good this tournament, especially Adam Zampa. He's got the second highest amount of wickets in the tournament. He's been doing really well. Today, he only took 1 wicket, but he only conceded 22 runs. And that really slowed the Pakistani batsmen down when they looked like at one stage they may post, nearly 200 runs. How vital was he again to the team tonight?
I think throughout the tournament, Zampa has been very good, and he's been very vital to the Australian campaign. And so also this match, like you said, he might have got only 1 wicket, and that wicket was of Babar Azam, and which is a very, very crucial wicket given Babar Azam's form, because Babar Azam had in the last 5 matches, he had scored 450s. So that is a prized wicket. And like I said in one of the previous stats also, so Zampa bowls fastest leg spin, but he's unafraid to toss one or two up when the situation demands. And just one of those flighted leg breaks, which really caught Babar Azam, caused Babar Azam to mistime the shot and I think Bono caught him on the boundary. So Zampa is very, very crucial to the Australian bowling. But the rest of the bowling was up and down really. Stark was good early on. Later he came in for stick. Hazelwood wasn't at his best, but Cummins was. And actually, if you ask me what made the difference, was Pat Cummins' 19th over in the Pakistan innings made the difference, because that made the difference between Pakistan getting another 10 to 15 runs extra. And that would have taken the match further away from Australia, because he gave only just 3 runs in that match, in that over, 19th over, 3 runs. If you give away 3 runs only in that over, I think you pretty much win the match for your team. And that's what Pat Cummins did. And that was, again, one of the several big moments in this game, really.
That really was a tremendous performance for him. Anis, Australia had won all 4 of the ICC knockout games against Pakistan: the 87 World Cup semi-final, the 1999 World Cup final, 2010 T20 World Cup semi-final, and 2015. They've won their 5th one now. Is this their best win against them? And why do Pakistan struggle against them?
I'm glad you asked me this question, Imran. It happens, like if you have to ask me, is this the best win against them? I would say the innings played by Hasi in 2010, where they were down and out, and Hasi hammered 67 of 24 balls. So what happens when you play against teams where you tend to lose matches from winning position? It tends to haunt you, and I wouldn't be surprised. It must be in the back of Hassan Ali's mind, or Shaheen Afridi's minds, or Babar Azam's mind. And when you come to this such pivotal moments where you know that you have the match, but then you remember, oh God, we had lost this match. That's where the nerves count. And this was a young Pakistan team. You have to give you Baring, Hafiz, and Shoaib Malik. All of them guys were below 30. So it must have haunted them. But in the end, you have to give credit to Australia. They held their nerve. And Marcus Stoinis, he said that he wants to be the best finisher. He did it with the support of Matthew Wade.
Anis, how much of a blow is losing for Pakistan after the way they've played today? They've played, well, they won 5 out of 5, as I've mentioned, but in the UAE, they've played, I think, 14 T20 games and won all 14. So it's a big blow. How will they be feeling?
They won 16 out of 16, and more important than winning in UAE 16 out of 16, this defeat might really dent them a lot, because when they came into this tournament, to be very honest, with due respect to Pakistan, they were not touted as favorites, but the way they played themselves, and today also they were fabulous with the bat, and when Shaheen Afridi bowled that over, everything, the Shadab leg spin, everything went Pakistan's way, bearing that probably missed opportunity by Asif Ali as well as Hassan Ali in the end. They were spot on. So, they played so good cricket, but sometimes in this, cruel game of T20, one good knock can take the game away. And I'm afraid Pakistan would probably dread this till the next World Cup, because this was their tournament to be won. And I'm afraid it will haunt them very badly.
And Anis, I think we need a special word on Pakistan's batsman, Mohammed Rizwan. He was dropped on 0 very early on. He went on to make 67, a brilliant 67. But the reason why that was such an impressive knock was apparently last night, he spent the last night in hospital, apparently. He had some lung condition, and he made himself available for today. And he came back with a very impressive innings. How good has he been for them?
Fantastic. He's been batting with Babar Azam for the last couple of years, and the way he has taken his place and the way he runs between the wickets, the way he motivates the team behind the field. I feel for this young boy along with Babar Azam and the whole team, because even though he was dropped, you don't ask anybody to drop your catch, but he's played fantastically for Pakistan throughout the innings, and he should hold his head high along with all the Pakistani players, because they deserve to be in the finals. But I'm afraid, as I said, cricket is a very I would say it levels down to something or the other, and Pakistan probably were one step too far from winning this match and probably would have beaten New Zealand, but that's the way the game goes.
And how will Shadab Khan be feeling tonight? He's taken 4 for 26 in 4 overs, and that's the best ever figures in T20 in a T20 World Cup semi-final. It was a superb performance from him, and he'll probably be feeling desperately unlucky to be finishing on the losing side, won't he?
Oh, he was fantabulous. Leg spinners are always match winners, and the way he got all his wickets were through flighting the ball. He was not afraid to fight the ball. And yes, he would be feeling devastated. He does all the hard work. And as you say, now you do everything, but then you still turn up on the losing side. It must be hurting. And there was a couple of run-out opportunities. Stoinis was missed. Even Wade was missed. They were not hitting the stumps, but that's how the game goes. You can't get everything. And Pakistan had to be on the losing side. I feel bad for Pakistan for only reason because they deserve to win. Australia also were good, but on paper, Pakistan looked the better side.
Sham, Australia have won the 50-over World Cup 5 times and the Champions Trophy 2 times. But the best they've done in the T20 World Cup is finishing as runners-up against England 10 years ago. They're in the final again, where they're going to be meeting New Zealand, who I think we're all surprised have made it that far. And it looks like Australia's peaking at the right time. They've got to be the favourites now, surely. Do you think they're going to do it?
Yeah, I think so. In fact, after they beat West Indies in the last match, I was pretty convinced that this is a side which could go all the way, because they started. They didn't have the best of preparations. Australia, when the COVID pandemic hit, Australia was one of the countries which was very badly affected, and especially with all their lockdown rules, and which kept changing all the time. So they didn't have adequate time to prepare. The players could never come together to even have a camp, really. So they were very, very undercooked when they came to UAE for the tournament. In fact, Aaron Finch said so much in the run-up to the tournament that their preparations were far from ideal. But what they've done is they've used these matches to good effect. Throughout the tournament, with every match they were improving, and when they outplayed West Indies, they were firing at all cylinders. If you look at that, was the match which David Warner ran into form. Finch fired well. Then you had somebody like Mitchell Marshall coming into form. So everything, and also we saw Stark running into form. Of course, Sampa was there on the ball from the right from the first match, and of course Josh Hazelwood brings his Chennai Super Kings form into the tournament. So all those things gel together, and every bits and bobs fell into the place as the tournament progressed. And as they reached the semi-final, there were everything in place. And which is why when a tight match, a very tight situation, when two sides are evenly matched, one misstep can undermine you. So that which didn't happen today, because they played the usual brand of Aussie cricket the hard way, with full of grit and determination, without yielding an inch. That's what we saw today, and that is Australia at their finest. And I'm sure they'll get better once they get to the final. And New Zealand now no pushovers, but I still think Australia will win their first T20 trophy.
Anis, I've been reading all your comments and your columns, and I know you've been very impressed with New Zealand, how they've been quietly just getting on with it without any major big stars. They've got this far. Can they cause a surprise on Sunday?
You know what? I have to give it to 60-40 to Australia. But you never know with this Kiwi team. As they say, they are not the glamour boys. They do their job very clinically, come into the park, play their cricket in the right way, with the right spirit. And they have a healthy rivalry with Australia, mind you. They would like to avenge that 2015 World Cup defeat, which they had in their own then in Australia. So don't take New Zealand lightly at all. It's a game, and that 20 or 40 overs, who plays well. And because of Australia's stature, we are backing Australia. But like England was also heavily packed, but New Zealand beat them. It might happen. And if the curator prepares the same wicket, I would back the team chasing.
Okay, should be an interesting final. I think we'll leave it there for tonight. Thanks to my guests. Remember to log into golfnews.com for all the latest news, reviews, analysis, videos, and so much more. We'll be back on Sunday night to see who wins the T20 World Cup. Good night.